there have been obviously numerous people online, on YouTube, whatever, calling you out. I even had a guy on my own channel.
If I fight him, he's done with one kick.
Do you have any message for them?
Hey guys, here's the video I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for. Interview with Michael Jai White. We address people who call him out online, and of course, if you've been watching the channel, you've likely seen AJ Von Bacher as one of the guys, probably the most entertaining one, who's called him out online.
For reasons of educating the world is why I would really do this. Not necessarily because I hate him. I don't hate him. I just think he's an idiot, you know. But he's saying the wrong things, and too many people are believing what he's saying, and I think that can be dangerous.
So Michael Jai White addresses that. We're also going to talk about, Mike Tyson. Like, I thought watching DJ vlog videos that he was interested in maybe doing an exhibition match, celebrity match against Mike Tyson. Is that true? We're going to get more clarity. And, of course, I put out that video, is Michael Jai White delusional? Asking the question based on statements he's made. He can beat Bruce Lee, he can beat all the Expendables, he can beat Mike Tyson in boxing, etc. So a lot of this stuff I try to make sense of based on what he told me during the interview and clarifies some things for me. So I do provide a little bit of commentary during the interview. Hopefully you'll appreciate that. You'll kind of see where I'm coming from. And I think the big win here, though, is having a video like that, questioning based on statements, other videos we've seen, and now having the real guy and digging deeper. And I'm trying to make sense of like all this stuff. So hopefully you guys will appreciate that. I do want to thank Sifu Alan Goldberg for helping set up the meeting with Michael Jai White. This is part 2 of the interview. Make sure to watch part 1. I'll post it in the link below. And then my buddy who went with me to the event, Elijah, also interviewed Michael Jai White, totally different topics. Make sure to check out his videos linked in the description below. Oh, by the way, if you want to be an alpha male like Michael Jai White, I think minimum you got to make sure you at least have adequate testosterone levels. So this video is sponsored by Let's Get Checked. You could get your testosterone checked at home. More than just your testosterone, all kinds of tests. You could even do like a whole male hormone sample kit, which is this. Basically, it's very convenient. You know, you take your blood samples, you take your saliva sample. This kit has everything where you could just easily mail it back in and get your results online. So anyway, check out the link. Use my discount promo code for 30% off. And if for whatever reason your testosterone's low, there are natural treatments you can look into. Some natural ways to boost it. Or last resort, maybe even look into TRT. But you should at least see where you're at and then go from there.
I know you expressed interest in a celebrity boxing match against Mike Tyson.
No.
No?
No.
That was on DJ vlog.
To be able to box Mike Tyson, I like living my life. I would never turn down an opportunity like that. Well, that's not true.
Oh, did he cut it a certain way?
I never expressed interest in doing a celebrity boxing match with Mike Tyson. I've never said that. I said I would
Be honored, right?
No. No, I said I would spar with Mike Tyson anytime. I would.
I would more of an exhibition.
No.
If you got a call to do the next exhibition match with Tyson, would you do it?
Of course.
Of course.
To box Mike Tyson, I would love that. I would spar with Mike Tyson if he's getting ready for a match or anything. Nothing to do with the exhibition or anything like that. I spar with people for the joy of it and to help.
Okay, so I point out the DJ Vlad interview because, not to show that it looks like Michael Jai White's contradicting himself, and not necessarily to just prove I'm not crazy. I wanted to ask him that based on the interview, like all of us seen and heard him say those things. But here's the thing. So that interview was like a year ago. And I talked to Michael Jai White just a couple weeks ago. So we got to go with what he's saying now. And this is just speculation on my part. But I think as far as like that DJ Vlad interview, I just don't think he articulated it the way he wanted to. I think he was kind of put on the spot, kind of caught off guard, and, you know, would be excited to, quote, box Mike Tyson. But he probably, like he said more recently, just, you know, box, spar Mike Tyson, like move around, help train with him. And he will better explain that whole thing and articulate it better. See, here's the thing with that DJ Vlad video, though. So you know DJ Vlad's not sitting there editing these videos himself. He obviously, the channel's huge. He's got a team. People are editing the videos, and they're putting, you know, a very clickbaity title. So, for example, that video is titled, Michael Jai White officially agrees to box Mike Tyson, would do it for free. That's why I clicked on it. I'm sure that's why you guys clicked on it, and that's why I got hundreds of thousands of views. But if you analyze the video, you could kind of tell he almost like wanted to kind of backpedal and better articulate what he said. But, and he may have actually done that. They recorded it, but, you know, knowing YouTube and the team, they're like, well, that won't get that many views. We can't use this title. And here's the thing, like, as far as YouTube, I could have titled this video differently, made it clickbaity as hell, made Michael Jai White look bad, but that would be disrespectful. I don't want to do that. I'm not saying DJ Vlad's team put that out there out of disrespect to try to make him look crazy, as far as like who's gonna box Mike Tyson, especially for free. Like, you might as well get your $10 million and not, you know, if you're gonna potentially suffer permanent brain damage fighting him, you might as well at least get your $10 million or however much he could make. So anyway, speculation on my part, I just don't think he articulated it well. I think he even maybe back then probably better articulated it, but they just didn't want to put that out there because they wouldn't have like a clickbaity video essentially.
I'm just saying that I enjoy sparring, right? Mike Tyson is somebody I studied for years, and so it's like if he needed more heavyweights and if Mike needed sparring partners, I would love to do something like that. That's it. That's all I ever said. I spar with people. I spar with Layman. There's too many people. Layman Brewster was heavyweight, WBA heavyweight champion when I sparred with him. Frankie Lau. So many people. I enjoy when people are getting ready for a competition to be in that camp, because I vicariously lived through that. That's something that I was talented at that I never did. So I enjoy it on a level because I never got a chance to be that fighter. Didn't want to, because I wanted to craft this career of, you know, acting, writing. This is what I studied. But I love, if there's anything that I've been the best at in my life, it's fighting. I was gifted on fighting. That's something that just, I don't know, like, I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't, you know, utilize that gift. And so I enjoy it on a real level. Fuck, like anybody. I'm not doing it to impress anybody or try to like show how bad I am. That's like somebody else's thing. Exhibition, screw exhibition. I'm doing this stuff from the heart. You know what I mean? It's not about ego.
I do want to quickly point out why this actually does make sense with what he's saying, although it is uncommon. So if any of you guys follow bodybuilding from the 90s, you probably heard the name Vic Richards. This was an incredible bodybuilder. He lived a life. He could have probably been Mr. Olympia. He could have easily competed against Dorian Yates. Who knows, maybe even won. But that, to him, wasn't what it was about. And everybody wanted him to compete. The magazines, I'm sure Joe Weider, everything. But he never did. But he was a great, legendary bodybuilder, but that's just not what he wanted to do.
Goals is not only Mr. Olympia. I have different goals from a lot of guys out there.
So, as far as Michael Jai White and fighting and competing, he's kind of like the equivalent of Vic Richards in a lot of ways. And a bigger point, though, a bigger point for everyone, anything that anybody does, you really have to do it for yourself. Forget about the money, forget about the fame, forget about ego, forget about anything. The only way you're going to be great, and if you're going to stick with it, is if you do it for yourself. And then if you want to take it further by competing or doing whatever, fine. But at its core, you have to do it for yourself. And this was articulated so well in Rocky 3.
But you gotta want to do it for the right reasons. Not for the guilt over Mickey. Not for the people. Not for the title. Not for money or me. But for you.
Which just speaks to the genius of Stallone and why these movies are so successful that he's written and acted in, because it's truth and it speaks to people.
Ego or money or none of that. Let me ask you
No,
this
I've
real quick,
never
Michael.
been that way.
Has anybody approached you though and said, "Hey, you should do this celebrity match"? Like, has any promoters? Because obviously
Sometimes.
you got a name that people they would love to see you, especially knowing your
I don't
background.
care. Like, see, this is the thing I'm trying to get across. Yeah, people would love to see me, do a lot of things that I don't want to do. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's not important to me. I'm not. I'm doing. I'm doing movies. I'm doing that.
Oh,
type
yeah,
stuff.
of course.
But I've been doing martial arts and training for me for years, right? So it's like, that's just it's not about an exhibition. If somebody like there are a lot of champions people I spar against, they may record it, whatever, but I don't show things out there because it'll look arrogant. It'll look like I'm trying to get attention.
And they don't want to put it out because they wouldn't look that great, basically.
I can't speculate on why they would not want to do something, but it's just like it's a simple thing. I do it from the heart.
You just love it. And
Yeah.
you don't care about like if anybody knows. I don't need to prove myself on the world stage.
Every now and then it gets on my nerves, and people go, "Oh, he's not a real fighter." Yeah, guess what? I am not a real fighter. That's not how I make my living, and I never wanted to be.
Yeah, no, you
Even
explained it.
even when I was a kid, like I would watch people, and I have a lot of friends who are fighters, and I go, "Man, that's not the lifestyle I want."
Can't blame you, man.
Yeah, it's just not. But it's like people, like with the martial arts, people talk about, oh yeah, wouldn't want to cross you, or it's a badass thing. It's like that's their view of the martial arts. I'm like, no, I received discipline from the martial arts. That's what is putting me as the head of my own studio, or I'm writing this and directing this, because I learned that I can push myself. I can, with discipline and learning and applying myself, I can accomplish great things. And the biggest obstacle is yourself, right? So
Yeah.
being disciplined, doing what I have to do to get where I want to be. That is an ethic that's learned from martial arts. And if everybody wants to see me fight this person, that's on them. Like, why would I lower myself to appease somebody who only can think about me as like, oh yeah, I want to see you fight that guy. Like, okay, whatever. That's
One last question, Michael. One last question.
yeah.
There have been obviously numerous people online, on YouTube, whatever, calling you out. I even had a guy on my own channel.
If I fight him, he's done with one kick. One kick.
I
One
would
kick is
like-
my prediction. I
I
only
would
need
love
to
to
land
see
one
that,
kick.
by the way.
Look. It doesn't matter if it's his leg, his body, his arm, or his head.
Do you have any message for them? Based on some stuff you said, I'm not even going to bring up Bruce Lee or the Expendables, but based on things that are like, oh, well, I'll fight him then. Any message to those guys?
I'm so easy to spar with. I'm very easy to spar with. So it's like this is the part where I wish I was a little bit more mature about it. There have been people who have called me out and said that, and I have on 4 different occasions. One time in another country, where I showed up to that person's dojo. I showed up to 4 dojos, and like, okay, I love it. Let's put it to a test. I don't mind that. There's one day I'm going to be too old to do that. I'm training. I train with like some of the best fighters I've ever seen. Like Francis Ngannou is a human tree. But it's like, if he knocked me out, I would celebrate. If that's what he wanted to do, if he wanted to spar and go, I would have to, because it's like, when do you get that chance? But so it's not. Usually, if somebody's good, I'm like, great, because guess what? My goal is to be beaten. Like my goal is going. Wow, that guy was a lot better, and I learned something. Because every time, because I learn more on my defeats than my victories.
Of course, anybody's failures, you learn more.
One of the last defeats, like when I sparred with Michael Bisping, and I could not, like, my wind was so bad that second round I couldn't even defend myself. Michael Bisping was getting ready for the middleweight champion. He was going to fight George St. Pierre. We were in Thailand, so I'm always good for at least 5 rounds, you know. I don't know what it was about Thailand or whatever, but I could not breathe. I was so out of shape. And that taught me never to be that out of shape cardiovascularly. And I've never been that out of shape since.
Okay.
And so that I gained more from that than anything else. I'm not talking about, oh, what I was good at or whatever, what, you know, things. No, the lesson was, wow, you know, don't take that for granted, you know, and because a month later I was going to be sparring with Gokhan Saki.
Oh, that dude's a beast.
He's a beast, and his combinations what. And so when I go to someone else's den, it's their rules. If they want to go, hey man, we're going to bang, we're going to get it. I got to be ready.
Yeah.
Because you know, so I'm going from there to Gokhan Saki. So after Michael, even though we had to be on set at 6, I was running in Thailand like 80 degrees at 4:30 in the morning just to get my wind back up. So that I benefit from that. So if somebody can humble, or if they call it humble me or whatever, if they can show me something like, and I go, oh wow, I'd be the first one to be like, wow, you really did show me something. But they better know what they're doing.
Yeah, or they're gonna get hurt.
Because if you waste my time and you talk big and you don't know what to do, you're going to pay for it because you're not going to be able to sue me in that scenario. So that's like, so it's like, I've stepped to people's places and go, let's do this. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to have fun either way. I'm going to have less fun if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Now you're going to piss me off because you're wasting my time. So if you are good, and I go, man, your timing was great and whatever, that's the best thing. That's the best outcome for me. So it's not about that kind of ego. It's about me testing myself. And when I bow, it's like, thank you for allowing me to become better. I respect that, you know. So yeah, it's, you know, it's a simple thing. If it wasn't for defeats, I wouldn't be doing the thing. I wouldn't be where I was, where I am. So that's what it is. Like that's why I spar with John Jones, you know, Rampage, and I just too many to think of. And a lot of these guys come train with me at my house. My regular training partner is Josh Barnett.
Oh, really?
That guy is completely dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, grappling. You know how much I learned from him? You know, he's like heavyweight champion, UFC, Strike Force, you know, Matsumura. That's who I'm training with, like Mondays and Wednesdays, like for years.
That's cool, man.
So it's like, if someone says, oh, you don't know what you're doing or whatever, and I'm like, okay, well, I ain't that hard to find, but hopefully you know what you're doing.
Yeah, don't waste your time, basically.
That's all I'm saying, you know, it's like, it's not that hard, so it's like, yeah, I'll spar with, there's nobody I wouldn't, you know, stand up with or even grapple, like, you know, it's fun at this point.
Sure.
It's still, what I say, it's still fun.
Yeah, I mean, you can test yourself. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
Michael,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Right.
My buddy's got some really totally different stuff to ask you.
Okay.
All right, so is Michael Jai White delusional? I honestly, I don't think so. I think he's got obviously the physical gifts. I think he's got the discipline, the right attitude. For whatever reason, he just never wanted to go that route, and we can't blame him. He described having known like a lot of fighters, it's just not the life he wanted. I think it would be amazing if he did a celebrity match. He doesn't want anything to do with it. We got to respect that.
Everyone wanted me to race. They begged me. The track coach called my parents, pleading. But I answered him in the same way I answered everyone. I choose not to run.
So for me, the topic is done. There's nothing else to discuss. The guy loves martial arts strictly for the love of it. That's why he does it. Trains with all these guys. He spars with all these guys. We got to respect that. Oh, by the way, I'll mention it one more time. Check out my buddy Elijah's channel because he interviewed Michael Jai White right after me. Linked in the description below, and we'll get some more interesting stuff out of him.